Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Bismo here. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys everything you need to know prior to watching Mandalorian Season 3, which is right around the corner. Especially if you didn't know about the Book of Boba Fett show that took place after Season 2, because a lot of people I know are confused with the new trailer that we got with Mando being back with Grogu, aka Baby Yoda. But before we get into that stuff with Grogu, I want to do a quick recap on basically the first couple of seasons so you guys have a better idea of where we're at, and just a refresher going into the new season. So the Mandalorian, or Din Djarin, was from the Children of the Watch, which was a sect of the Mandalorians that was much more strict, and they were originally located on the moon of Concordia. Anyhow, he's a part of this group and they can't take off their helmets. Early on, Din primarily worked as a bounty hunter, completing contracts for Grief Karga originating on Navarro and going out there, and that's how we originally got that first introduction with episode 1. Early on in the show, he meets this force sensitive named Grogu, and we learn that the remnants of the Empire want Grogu to study him, and basically using his blood to, we're not entirely sure, but probably try to make force sensitives, probably leading to Snoke to some sense. The primary villain in the first couple of seasons of The Mandalorian is Moff Gideon, who leads pretty large remnants of Imperials on a Imperial light cruiser. And in season 2, on one of these missions that Din is on, we meet Ahsoka, thanks to some clues that Bo-Katan gave the Mandalorian after helping her group of Mandalorians with a mission of their own. Bo-Katan gave Din the directions to find the Jedi, which ended up being Ahsoka. And we get to learn a little bit more about Baby Yoda at the time, and that's where we learn Grogu's name and get some flashbacks of him being in Order 66. It's great that we see that in the trailer for Season 3, and hopefully we get to see who saved Grogu in this upcoming season, because that would be obviously a big reveal I think a lot of us are hoping to find out. And at the end of episode 5 of Season 2 with Ahsoka, we get the reveal that Grand Admiral Thrawn is somehow connected. So that is exciting. Now, where Season 2 leaves off is, of course, where the big reveal, and really this is a spoilers warning if you for some reason haven't watched this and you want to watch, make sure to watch. But finale of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, we have Luke Skywalker coming to save the day against the Dark Troopers of Moff Gideon's, and then they put Moff Gideon in jail, and Grogu goes with Luke for a time. And with Din Djarin, Mando successfully defeating Moff Gideon in a one-on-one combat, he acquires the Darksaber, which he doesn't even really want. And we find out that Bo-Katan wants the Darksaber because it's the key to rule Mandalore, which is kind of a hint and a tease at this upcoming season of this potential conflict between Bo-Katan and Din. But now let's talk about how Grogu is back with the Mandalorian and a little bit of Book of Boba Fett. So here we go. So in episode 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, Mando meets back with the other Mandalorians, and he finds the armorer, and basically what he has done is the spear that he got in season 2 of the Mandalorian, he has that reforged into foundling armor, which is intended for Grogu, because he wants to meet back with him. He's missing him, and he wants to basically give him this foundling armor because he's a foundling. So once he's done getting that foundling armor for Grogu from the other Mandalorians in the armor, side note, he gets banished from being a Mandalorian because he reveals that he took his helmet off. And due to this banishment of him no longer being a true Mandalorian, aka a part of the Children of the Watch, that's going to be one of the driving plot points for Season 3 and why he's returning to Mandalore, so that he can hopefully regain some of that honor back to be able to once again be a true Mandalorian. But after he's done getting the foundling armor, he heads to Tatooine because he needs a new ship, because his Razor Crest was blown up in season 2, if you remember. So he needs a new fighter and a spacecraft. But yeah, we get a really cool scene where Mando meets back up with Peli Motto, who was a recurring character from the previous seasons, because because he actually had tasked her with finding him a new Razor Crest, but she couldn't find him a Razor Crest, but she found him something maybe a little bit better. And we get a really cool scene with Mando and his new Naboo starfighter, which is just super cool that they brought back. And we get some more scenes where with some familiar places where the Mandalorian goes through Beggar's Canyon and that area where Anakin Skywalker did his pod racing, which was a really cool callback. So just a really fun episode overall, honestly. So then after Mando gets his cool new whip, he heads to the planet where Luke is on with Grogu and Ahsoka. But he's not actually able to meet with Grogu because he has a long talk with Ahsoka about how Grogu has to now give up attachment to actually go into training with Luke. So Mando basically gives the armor to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka then gives the armor to Luke. So then after that, we get some really good scenes with Luke and Grogu doing some training. And honestly, these are some of the best scenes in all of the Disney Plus shows, in my opinion. Some really deep scenes about the Force and just about the whole wide world. And there's just a really good quote in there. But anyhow, they train for a little bit. And then towards the end of the episode, actually at the very end of the episode, Luke prompts Grogu with a decision. And that decision is to choose between two things: the armor that Ahsoka had given him from the Mandalorian, the foundling armor, or Yoda's old lightsaber that Luke had acquired back on Dagobah. But yeah, the caveat is basically he can only pick one or the other. So if he picks the Mandalorian armor, Luke would have him sent off, and if he picks the lightsaber, he would maybe not be able to see Din Djarin or the Mandalorian ever again, as he would be focused on his training and foregoing that attachment. Spoiler alert, Grogu picks the armor, and Luke sends Grogu back to Tatooine to meet up with the Mandalorian, and this is mid-war basically on Tatooine. But yeah, you'd have to watch the Book of Boba Fett to get a full understanding of what was happening on Tatooine, but basically Boba Fett was trying to establish himself as the leader of the city, but all the other rival gangs were just not having it. So the finale is just basically a gang fight between all of them, and Grogu gets sent back and mixed up in the middle of it. And finally we have Grogu and the Mandalorian reuniting again, and we get a cool scene with them in the spaceship together and getting sent off. And then that's where we get the trailer. And honestly, like, it's kind of weird that they would send off in the main show, the end of season 2, they would have them separate only to, on a different show, not even the Mandalorian, come back together. It's kind of questionable, and honestly, it's probably business motivated, if I had to be honest. There's a brief interview online with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau about how their explanation on why Grogu is back, and what they're claiming is, you know, they basically need each other, so that's why they tried it out. You know, Grogu tried it out, and he needed Din, and Din needed Grogu. I don't know if I fully buy that, but I mean, they are the creators of the show, so. But regardless, I'm excited for Mandalorian season 3, and we'll be doing live streams on my channel every week to talk about each episode and predictions for like the rest of the season, so you should definitely stick around for that, and weekly videos every Saturday. And let me know in the comments what you are most excited about for Mandalorian season 3, and I'll see you guys in the next one.